I put Steph Curry into the 1990s to see how he would match up against a different era. Can Steph Curry stop Chicago's dynasty from happening? The lineup will be before its time, Golden State utilizing a small ball style lineup with Tim Hardaway at the 2 and Steph Curry leading as the point guard. After Curry's debut season, MJ wins MVP with a Jordan-like season, Larry Johnson wins Rookie of the Year just like in real life, and Deadlift Shrimp wins 6-man. David Robinson wins Depoy, and Steph Curry finishes on the All-NBA second team. The Warriors will finish as the first seed in the West with a 62-win season, while the Cavaliers, led by Mark Price and Brad Daugherty, nearly win 60 games in the East. After the Warriors narrowly close out the Nuggets in the first round, the Warriors will be facing off against Magic and the Lakers, who actually made the finals in the year previous, coming short against Michael Jordan. After an intense second round against Magic Johnson, the Warriors come up on top in a 7-game series where Curry scored 25 points to close out LA at home. Now with MJ still in the playoffs, the Warriors were getting ready for the expected finals matchup, but in a shock, the Warriors fall short to the Blazers, who just like in real life make the NBA Finals against the Chicago Bulls. The Warriors overlooked their matchup, and now Curry and the team will have to regroup. The Bulls do end up winning the finals in 5, and Jordan will get his second straight finals MVP. In the draft lottery, the Dallas Mavericks end up with the first overall pick, and with a superstar big man on the radar, the Mavericks select the LSU center Shaquille O'Neal. Alonzo Mourning goes to the Heat in replace of Shaq. Orlando selects the Duke phenom Christian Laettner. The Bucks end up selecting Tom Gugliotta, and the Nuggets trade 2 first-round picks for Moses Malone. In a funny twist of fate, the Spurs of all teams select the future infamous star LATRELL Sprewell. The only other picks of note is Jim Jackson to Philly and Robert Horry to Detroit. The biggest free agency move ended up being the former Cavalier leaving Cleveland to go to the Blazers. After a near 60-win season in Cleveland, Brad Daugherty decides to move to a better situation with Clyde Drexler. Jordan won MVP again, while Shaq wins Rookie of the Year in Dallas, and Curry would earn another second-team All-NBA selection, with Curry averaging 25 points, 8 assists, and 6 rebounds a game in his second season with Golden State, while the Warriors once again finish as the first seed, with both Golden State and Chicago having a 60-win or more season. The Warriors breeze by Phoenix in the first round, while the Bulls do the same against New Jersey. Since the Warriors played Denver last year in the playoffs, in the second round the Warriors have the script on how to beat the Nuggets. Now Golden State will rematch versus the Blazers, who now have Brad Daugherty at center. In a tough series against the Blazers, the Warriors were shooting the lights out against Portland, leading to them getting over the hurdle, now facing off against Jordan in the finals. Going into the finals, even with the Warriors having the home court advantage, the Bulls were the clear favorite to win. And even with Golden State putting up a good fight, Jordan made sure to send the Warriors home early, clearly sending a message that the Warriors were not ready to win a championship. With Jordan winning his 3rd straight championship and finals MVP, with a monster 38 points per game stat line against the Warriors' weak defense. In the draft lottery, the Timberwolves get the first overall pick, and once again the Mavericks get a top 2 selection. With the first overall pick, the Timberwolves select the young and electric point guard Penny Hardaway to pair with Doug West and Tony Campbell. And just like in real life, the Mavericks select Jamal Mashburn to pair up with the second-year star Shaquille O'Neal. And Allen Houston, the dynamic scorer, pairs up with LATRELL Sprewell in San Antonio. And besides the 2 Giants being drafted in the first round, there wasn't much left in the draft besides Vin Baker. And the biggest move in free agency was Philly signing Shawn Kemp. In real life, the Supersonics end up making the finals in 1996, but now in the 1993 offseason, Kemp will switch teams before that season even happens. Now with Jordan retired, Clyde Drexler now finishes with the MVP, and Golden State is the second seed in the West, while Chicago is out of the playoffs entirely. The Warriors are able to get past a young Shaq and Mashburn, then the Warriors sweep the Utah Jazz in the second round. With no Hakeem or MJ in the playoffs, the Warriors look primed to get their first ring. But instead, Clyde Drexler boosts his legacy and gets by Golden State in 5 games. Now Drexler and the Blazers cruise by the Michael Adams-led Bullets in the finals in a sweep. with Clyde Drexler himself having an amazing series, shooting over 60% from 3 and the field. In the offseason, Larry Bird will end up retiring at the age of 37 due to lingering back issues. In the NBA draft, the Timberwolves select Glenn Robinson first overall to pair up with Penny Hardaway. And a huge selection is Atlanta getting the facilitating do-it-all point guard out of California. The Clippers will try to start off their rebuild right with Grant Hill instead of the bust they drafted in real life. The Hawks end up trading Kevin Willis and a second round pick for the 12th pick, selecting said bust that the Clippers got in real life. And at 14, the aging Lakers select Eddie Jones to eventually replace the 34-year-old Magic Johnson and 33-year-old James Worthy. With Tim Hardaway upset with the attention Curry was getting as the star of the Warriors, Hardaway would sign with Philadelphia, creating a duo with Shawn Kemp. The Warriors realized they needed some size, so they go out and get Terry Cummings from San Antonio. Now with no Tim Hardaway, Golden State is hoping that less will equal more for the team's championship hopes. At the trade deadline, Golden State would end up trading some picks for Rod Strickland. Now it seems like this team is ready to win a championship. But the biggest move of the season would be made by Houston. With them no longer getting Clyde Drexler, the Rockets will trade for Gary Payton from Seattle. With no Kemp, Payton was very unhappy, and the Glove was vocal about it as well. Now the Rockets have possibly the greatest duo defensively of all time. Steph Curry will get his first MVP with a stat line even better than his 2016 campaign. And Penny Hardaway is looking like an icon for Minnesota, winning Most Improved, but the Timberwolves were the bottom team in the West standings. Golden State once again beats Denver in the playoffs, and once again the Warriors will play the Blazers. The Warriors clear out the Blazers in just 5 games, and now facing the Rockets. It's clear whoever wins this series will win the championship, as the East is as weak as ever. The Warriors are hungry for their first championship with Curry, and it was looking good for Golden State to start the series, but eventually Gary Payton was heavily challenging Curry on every play. And with the Warriors having no superstar big man to match up with Hakeem, the Warriors would fall in 6 games to Houston. And in the finals, Washington had no answer for anything the Rockets threw at them, losing in embarrassing fashion, getting swept in 2 straight finals. Before going into the 1995 NBA draft, there's a lot of changes in the league. Michael Jordan is finally back for a full season, and 2 new teams are added, named the Vancouver Grizzlies and the Toronto Raptors. In the draft lottery, the Kings get the first pick, while the Mavericks once again have a top 3 pick. Looking at the draft picks, Kevin Garnett goes first overall to Sacramento, Jerry Stackhouse joins Jamal Mashburn and Shaq in Dallas, while Michael Finley joins Indiana. In a massive move, the Chicago Bulls decide not to re-sign Scottie Pippen, letting him go to San Antonio to team up with David Robinson. There's been reports that Jordan is considering leaving the Bulls since the loss of Pippen, but Chicago found a way to keep Jordan happy. The Bulls signed Stephen Curry to team up with Michael Jordan in his first full season back from retirement. The only win the Warriors got in free agency was signing a young Charlie Ward to a long-term contract. Even though Chicago let Scottie Pippen go, they did still end up getting Dennis Rodman, trading Horace Grant and a first-round pick for a 34-year-old Dennis Rodman and Robert Horry. Even though it took a while for the chemistry to develop between the pair of superstars, Jordan and Curry led Chicago to a 65-win record, tied with the Tim Hardaway and Shawn Kemp 76ers, while the Warriors finished 25-57, worst in the West. The Bulls are the clear favorites to win the chip, even with Curry recovering from a shoulder injury that sat him out 31 games. Both Curry and MJ averaged 30 points a game, while being the most dangerous duo in the league. The Bulls cruised to a sweep against the Larry Johnson-led Hornets, then beating the Jason Kidd and Dominique Wilkins-led Atlanta Hawks in the second round. The Bulls then end the Bullets' miracle run in a convincing 5-game gentleman's sweep. Now against his rival, Jordan knows he needs to win this championship if he wants to quiet the doubt of him not being the same player since retirement. When the series was 3-2, Chicago leading, there was something odd. The whole Chicago Bulls team never smiled and never really showed emotion the entire Game 6. Maybe Jordan gave the team a talk after their Game 5 loss, because throughout the closeout game, the Bulls were nearly perfect the entire night, resulting in another ring for Michael Jordan and Steph Curry's first championship. Now for the 1996 NBA Draft, one of the greatest draft classes of all time. The number 1 pick will be Allen Iverson to New York, a huge name and icon going to a huge market. The Warriors select Marcus Camby over other superstars available. And Kobe Bryant will go to Boston. The Stars are going to star team. Steve Nash goes to Detroit, and Ray Allen joins the recently created Vancouver Grizzlies. The Clippers get their star of the future in Stephon Marbury, and the Pistons trade Joe Dumars to Indiana, and Detroit pairs Steve Nash with the sharpshooter Peja Stojakovic. The Jazz trade their pick for Mitch Richmond. A lot of teams had a great draft, getting their future stars, but a team like Golden State has completely blown their future. Also, the Mavericks drafted Jermaine O'Neal to pair up with Shaquille O'Neal. The biggest free agency move would end up being Patrick Ewing joining Sacramento to play with the rising star Kevin Garnett. After a full season of chemistry building, Jordan getting back in rhythm, and Curry not being hurt, the Chicago Bulls end the 1997 season with a 73-9 record, setting the all-time record for wins in a season. Curry finishes the season with a MVP, averaging 25 points on the greatest team of all time. The Bulls blow by both teams in the first 2 rounds, but in the 3rd round they're matching up against a young rising star Detroit Pistons. But it was clear in both conferences that the Kings and Bulls were the best teams in the league. Now, after going down 0-2 in the finals, many were quick to call out Chicago for their apparent inability to guard big men. It feels like this Kings team was formed simply to beat Chicago. But something people forgot was that this Bulls team is unguardable. Curry and Jordan took over and tied the series at 3 games apiece going to Game 7 in Chicago. In Game 7, Curry started the game off hot, giving Chicago a slight lead to end the first quarter. But Ewing and Garnett would continue to dominate, and the Kings would have a lead going into the 4th quarter. The Bulls were down by 6 with about 40 seconds left in Game 7, and with the time running down, Jordan shoots a fadeaway and he hits an extremely difficult shot in the clutch. After Chicago stopped, they need a bucket while wasting no time. And on a fast break, Jordan drains the needed 3-pointer to cut the Sacramento lead to 2. Who do you put on the free throw line if you're Sacramento? That's the answer the Kings were trying to find out. Was the answer Patrick Ewing? I doubt it, because he would go on to choke and miss both free throws. Now with just 8 seconds left in Game 7, can Jordan or Curry pull out a miracle? And the answer is abundantly clear. Steph Curry drains the 3, and Curry has been the best shooter by far since joining the Warriors in '91. And even though his shooting has been highlighted, teams still do not know how to guard the best shooter of all time. Jordan would go on to retire after this championship, 1 year shorter than in real life, saying that he had nothing left to prove to himself or anybody for that matter. Steph Curry at the semi-young age of 33 retires as well, saying if Mike isn't around, then it's time for him to hang it up. Curry and Mike both finished their careers with nothing to prove. Curry, after years of disappointing losses in Golden State, wins 2 rings with Chicago, and Jordan ends up beating a big man heavy team, something many question if he could do. And that will do it, guys. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you do, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment, and I will see y'all next video. Peace.